We're supposed to, in this country, treat mothers and fathers the same with regard to custody. No one has a less equal position. However, when I practiced in the family court and then was later a judge in the family court, I found that that law was honored in the breach. Most judges and most psychologists that served the court always thought that the mother was better. And I didn't always find that that was true.
You have a child with him?
Yes.
That's not your child. That's both of your child.
Child.
No, just a second. That child is both of yours. So either you take the child or he takes the child. He's the father no less than you're the mother. So
you take this up with the family court judge. Your case is dismissed. We understand each other? Take it up with the family court judge. When the family court judge issues an order of support, whoever the order of support is going to be entered against. But I'm going to suggest this to the two of you. You've wisely or unwisely made a child together. You don't have the right to take the child away from the other parent. He would not have that right to take the child away from you. That's what the court said.
And whether you like him or not, whether you like her or not, whether he's a nice guy or not, whether he's a bum or not, he's a bum that you picked to make 2 children with. And if he shows up to see the children on a Wednesday, and he's given you some indication that he wasn't going to be there on Wednesday, and for no other reason than he said he wasn't going to come, you don't let your children see him, that's wrong.
But
that's wrong. It's not between the two of you. He could be the biggest bum in the world. He lived with his children. His children know who he is. They have a right to see their father unless he is abusive to them, dangerous to them, which I assume that prior to 2007, you never made that allegation. Would that be a fair statement?
That would be fair.
Well, then unless he had some psychotic breakdown, which I doubt.
Well,
which I doubt. Nothing changed with regard to his love for his children from 2007 to 2009, except that you were PO'd with him. Now, that's unfair. Whether you like that or not, it's unfair. It's unfair for the children. Unfair to him, I don't care about. Unfair to you, I don't care about. But it's unfair for the children. And if you deny them the right to see their father, they will eventually hate you. I want you to understand that. I want you to be prepared for the fact that if you don't let your children visit meaningfully with their father, there will be a day down the road when they will hate you. Justifiably so. Do you get it? Do you get it? Justifiably so. Because you will have allowed your anger to get in the way of their relationship with their father. Good, bad, or middle of the road. That's who you picked to make them with. You don't visit your bad judgment onto your children. Do we understand each other?
I understand you. I don't agree with you at all.
I don't give a... Listen, since I'm not adjudicating that or not, I have to tell you this. In 40 years, I've seen tens of thousands of women just like you who will invest all of their beautiful bloom time in hating the person that they made their children with. And I guarantee you this. You know what's going to happen? Eventually, you're going to drive him away. He's got a beautiful new fiance, and he and this beautiful new fiance will go on and make a beautiful new family. And one day he's going to say, I'm tired. I want to see my kids. I would love to see my kids, and I feel badly that I'm not seeing my kids. But she really is an SOB, and she created this problem, and when they get older, they'll see me, but I'm not going to waste my time anymore. Eventually, he's going to say that.
Mr. Baxter said that.
Just a second. If he said it, it's because you made it difficult. I've seen you for a very short period of time, and I know that if he said it up until now, he said it because you've made it difficult. It's not right that he's got a new girlfriend, that he's gone on to a new life, that you don't have a new life, that you don't have a new life. All of those things are very unfair, that you're living with your sister, that you no longer have a home for your children. I read your answer.
We have a beautiful home. We have a beautiful new home, and we are very happy.
Well,
and we have
you want me to read your answer? You want me to read your answer?
Yeah.
Fine. I'm going to read what you said. Then if what you said is a lie, you said Because of Chris, I don't have a place to raise my children. My sister has taken us in on a temporary basis. That's what you swore to in your answer.
Yeah, but it's a beautiful home.
Ms. Rizzo, I said all that's necessary to you. Put your hand down. You have to know that this has nothing to do with you. You're extra. You're fodder. This has nothing to do with you. You have nothing to do with his children. You have nothing to do with his former life. This has nothing to do with you. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Perfect. I wouldn't give up so easily on visiting with my children.
I don't plan on it.
I wouldn't give up so easily. But I'm telling you, I did my best.
He should be seeing him regularly, because the nonsense that you give me is nonsense, because you left him alone with the baby from 4 to 10 at night and 4 to midnight when you weren't home. So you weren't concerned that he wasn't taking care of him, because if you were concerned that he wasn't taking care of him, you wouldn't have left him home.
Can I say something? I allowed him to watch Oliver while I worked when I was living with them from 4 to 10 twice before. The second time, he withheld him from me for 2 days. Would not let me see him, touch him, or anything. I had to go to the police 4 times.
Just a second. So what you're saying is the last time that you let him watch him, he wouldn't return him.
Yes.
Well, let me ask you this question. And you thought that that was very wrong, right?
Yes.
Because you're the baby's mother, right?
Yes.
You're no more of a parent than he is. When you left his grandmother's house, the place where the baby was born, you didn't leave the baby there. You took the baby with you, right?
Yes.
What gives you the right to do that? What gives you, it's what I'm trying to get to you. What gives you the right more than the father to have the physical custody of that child? And if you think it's just because you're the mother, that's not the law.
This man who you describe as having a terrible temper texted you at work and said, listen, I have to let this whole situation de-escalate for a while, so I'm going to go and stay at a friend's house until you get home. You spoke to your mother, then you called him at night and said, we're done. Oh, he's on the leash. You can't say we're done and barricade yourself in the house. You can't do that unless you've done it before. You see how you're smiling? Can't control yourself. So you barricaded yourself into the house. He didn't kick down the door. He pushed down the door because he wanted to get into his home, where he is entitled to be. And you're smart enough to know that if you called the police and said to the police, he pushed his way into the house, they're going to say, well, whose house is it? And you're going to say, well, it's our house. They're going to say, he's entitled to be in his house. He didn't have a fight with you. He had a fight with his mother-in-law. Tell his mother-in-law to leave. We can't make him leave because he didn't touch you. Well, they don't. And you know that. So very quietly and stealthily, you let him come upstairs and sleep in bed with you. And when he left in the morning, then you called the police. You called the police because, according to you, your mother said when he was orderly, taking his stuff and leaving, he says, but I'm going to come back for my son. I want my son. I love my son, just like you do. Law doesn't give you any special rights as a mother to your child. And you know that, because the law's equal. They say fathers are really fathers. They have rights to their children, the same as their mothers. And it doesn't matter who cooked them. So what you did was get a leg up, because you said, in order for me to do that, I've got to get an order throwing him out of the house, excluding him from the house, saying that I'm afraid of him, saying that he threatened to take my son, not his son, which you did, and some judge actually gave you that order. See, I wouldn't have done that. But we're all different. So you did have him falsely arrested, and he's suing you for $1,500 in attorney's fees. I would have given you a lot more. You have a counterclaim for your broken door. Fix it yourself. You had no reason to barricade somebody who had a perfect right to be in their apartment out of their home. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. A goodbye.
Marty's no excuse. Please step out.
I don't know why you find this funny. I don't find it funny, actually. I find it very sad. Because if what you're telling me is, since this all happened, he's been on a supervised visitation schedule, you, madam, are outrageous.
Reading what little I did from this judge's order, he's going to end up with full custody of the child, because this judge is not going to take nonsense from you. It's clear to me. I'm just telling you, this judge who heard your case is not going to take nonsense from you. If you find a reason to fudge with the custody arrangement, because this man is not giving up. And what happens in situations like this is if there is an obstreperous parent who undercuts another parent, what's going to happen is you're going to lose custody of this child. I just want you to understand, I'm giving you the benefit of my crystal ball. He's keeping all the stuff that's in his house.
Even though
the
I have
judge found
receipts.
I don't care if you have receipts. I don't care if you have toilet paper from here to Pluto. The judge found that you lived together and that you were unemployed since 2008. Do you want me to read the finding?
Yes, my mother bought
just
all the
right
items.
here.
I even have
Just-
bank statements.
Mother lives in Belleville with her mother, her brother, her 8-year-old son was born of a previous relationship. Mother is a student. She was last employed in 2008. So
a
that when you were
full-time
living with him,
student.
when you were living with him for 2 years, unless you had some other form of income, he was supporting you.
My mother.
Your case is dismissed.
He
Listen to me.
never-
Listen to me.
he
Her
never
case
supported
is
anything of mine.
dismissed.
I got to
Listen to me carefully.
Okay.
I read your counterclaim, which you would never have filed but for this ridiculous lawsuit that she filed.
No.
Am I correct?
Yes.
Because
I just wanted it to be over.
What? You want it over.
Right.
I understand that,
Right.
and you're right.
I just want my property.
You can't have it. It's not yours.
It is mine. I
Your
have
case is
receipts for it,
dismissed.
and it
We're
was
done.
paid
Put her
for.
out.
Ma'am, you're excused.
You're withdrawing your counterclaim, correct? Yes, you are.
Oh, well, the
Perfect.
deductible. Can I
Perfect.
just.
We're done.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Did you take any of this money from him?
Yes, I have a child. We have a child to take care of. I mean, he should have been helping all this time.
I understand from him, Ms. Hammond, that the court set a support order that he's been consistent in paying of $90 a week. Is that false?
Yeah, he has been paying $90 a week. They take it out
Well,
of his
that's
check.
that's his legal obligation fixed by the court for him to pay. When the
So
court-
he shouldn't
You
have to
should-
help out in any other type of way, Your Honor?
I have been
That's,
helping.
shh. That's what I'm telling you, madam. That's what I'm telling you. What I'm telling you is the court has fixed his child support obligation. He is under absolutely no legal, ethical, or moral responsibility to take care of you
I
in
never
any
asked him to
way.
take care of me,
Just
Your
a
Honor.
second. You in any way. And if you and your daughter share an apartment, and if you're running short on the rent, and if he picks up the rent or sends you money to help with the rent, then he is in fact helping to take care of you. That's a nice thing for him to do, but not a legal, moral, or ethical responsibility for him to take care of. That's what I'm telling you. And so it would be important, Mr. Cervantes, for if I were a family court judge listening to an application for an upward modification of child support, it would be important for me to know that you're not a deadbeat, that you've been paying your child support order, and in addition, when pressed and there was a certain desperation, you helped out. That's all. That's all. Somehow Miss Hammond seems to think that you have a responsibility that exceeds that. He does if you say to him, Miss Hammond, your daughter needs a new gym outfit. Your daughter has a science project, and in order for her to do that, we need $150. And if he says, great, I'll send that to you for her, in addition to the $90 a week that I'm court ordered to send, that's fine. But he is under absolutely no obligation to take care of you.
I never said that he was, Your Honor, but he was also partly living in my house, staying the night and all that, so he should have to help out with the bills if he's going to be there. He wants to come and pick up his daughter instead of driving back down the hill to come down at 10 o'clock in the morning, and I let him stay for a few hours. He should have to help.
Such a thing.
I'm just supposed to let him live
Such
in
a
my
thing.
house, or just let him be around and do whatever he wants to do, eating my food, running up my light bill?
Just a second. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Yes.
These,
Are we done, Your Honor? I'm ready to go. Be quiet.
Because if you had not brought your daughter to school on Thursday after this hearing on your application for an order of protection, I would have awarded Mr. Aragon the $5,000 that he's asking for. Now I'm going to award him $2,500 because the route that you took in order to satisfy yourself was the wrong one. It was the same kind of route that you took in 2010. Which was, she's my daughter, I get to say what goes on with her, without involving a neutral arbitrator. Do you understand? You can't do that. Child has two parents. And what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to say, there's no question that my daughter is not at risk. Because if she was at risk, she would have been at a doctor's office Monday morning. She's not at risk, and she lived with her father for a year and a half when she was a baby, and then you disappeared with her because you wanted to. And then when you were questioning her, which is what you probably do when she comes back from her father's house, and you got either a story or a non-story, whatever it was, you chose not to call Child Protective Services and say, my child's being neglected. You chose not to go back to the family court. You chose to go the route of getting an ex parte protective order, probably with some advice from somebody. I'm not sure who. Anyway, judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. We're done.
I don't have the jurisdiction to order visitation. Do you understand?
Yes.
All I can do is tell you this. You have a son together? Do you have a son together?
Yes. Yes, sir.
How old is that child?
10 months.
You left in August?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Do you work? Did you work?
Yes. I was working.
Did you work?
Yes.
Did Mr. Benson work?
Yes.
Did you work the same hours?
No.
When you worked, who took care of the baby?
I only worked on Saturday. At the time, him.
Eventually, he's going to have visitation with his son. And a judge will order that he have visitation with his son. And when it was convenient for you, when you wanted to work, you found nothing inappropriate about his behavior, so that you left an infant with his father to take care of. So eventually, Mr. Benson is going to be smart enough to either pretend lawyer or himself say that to the judge. Till she left, she worked on Saturdays, and I took care of my son. She left me in charge of my son. So it's going to be a very hard uphill battle for you to say he can't see him now because now he's dangerous. Now that it's no longer convenient for you. If you don't get along with him anymore, that's your business. If he doesn't get along with you, that's his business. But the two of you made a child together, and his child has two parents. And both parents are entitled to be in that child's life. And it is inappropriate for one parent to deprive another parent, put your hand down, to deprive another parent and to deprive a child of the input of the second parent because they don't get along anymore. And whether it was an acrimonious departure or whether it was a happy departure is not relevant. Not relevant. Your son has a right to have the input of both parents, and you picked him. Okay.
Your case is dismissed. You have no claim against him. Zero. Nothing. Nada. Very sad. Very, very sad. Did the courts in Connecticut assign a lawyer to you?
I haven't had one yet, no.
Your Honor.
What?
The facts of the case are wrong.
Judge, listen to me. These are the basic facts of the case, Ms. Menacci. Basic. That at least going as far back as 2014, he says before, these two children lived with their father and an aunt.
They only lived with the father and the aunt for a couple of months.
No, that's not what she said. She said that they lived with their father.
They lived with him, but he just moved to Connecticut and stayed with his aunt.
Oh, well, I don't care. But they lived with their father, not with their mother.
And they lived. They came to our house in 2015. Not 16. So they lived with us for over a year. Carmela and Stephen and me, my husband, and the kids.
They lived with you for over a year while they were drug involved?
No, they were not drug involved at that time. I would not have that in my house.
That was 2016, Your Honor.
They had moved out April of last year.
Listen to me. Your case is dismissed. We're done. This is a family court matter, and somebody should take very, very close look at who is going to be the most appropriate parent to raise these two little boys who are 8 and 10 years old and probably shouldn't be separated. It sounds to me as if most of their lives they lived with their father, who I see visually actually no evidence of drug involvement. I can't say the same on this side.
Well,
we're done. You filed for divorce, is that right?
Yes, I did.
You were the plaintiff. The grounds were irreconcilable differences.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
When you filed the complaint for irreconcilable differences, you listed 2 children. Is that right?
Yes.
2 girls?
Yes.
You asked for child support for both girls, correct?
Yes.
Good. Now, if you sense a certain harshness in my tone, it's because unless I was reading incorrectly in your answer, you say that 5 years ago, when your daughter was 6 years old, you had a talk with her, and you told her that there was a chance that he wasn't her father.
Yes.
And you did that because I don't believe in keeping secrets from my kids.
Yes.
You're a moron. You are a moron.
You are an example of why people should have to take tests before they're allowed to have children. Before you have a discussion with a child and tell a 6-year-old child that there is a chance that she's a... You have a paternity test. If you have a question, then you know. You don't tell her first because you feel as if you have to get it off your chest that you were messing around.
He was messing around first, Your Honor.
Who cares? He didn't become pregnant. As far as I know, that's not a possibility yet.
I want to tell you something. If I were the family court judge, not a mediator, but if I were the family court judge who was deciding visitation with your children, you, sir, would see your children under a supervised visitation arrangement only. And I am a very serious proponent of fathers having as unrestricted quality time, if they are not the custodial parents of children, as is possible, because I always believe that that's in a child's best interest, to have the love and companionship of both biological parents. It's always been my view. I'm a serious proponent of that, but not, sir, when you live with this kind of witch. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,000. Whatever counterclaim there is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.